Good morning, everybody. I'd like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land in which we are gathered and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to the Mighty City Infrastructure Committee meeting of 10 October 2023. The time is 11:48 a.m. I declare this meeting open. I'd like to advise attendees in the room that this meeting is being webcast and audio recorded. Today we have a leave of absence from 3 councillors. Councillors Karansky, Bannon and Power. Is there a mover to accept those absences? Councillor Murphy has moved it. A seconder? Councillor Wilcox. All those in favour, please raise your hands. It's been carried unanimously. Thank you very much. I'd like to acknowledge that we have a young person in the room today by the name of Tyler Torres. Tyler's a Year 10 student from Maple Park State High School who will be doing work experience in the building in the next couple of weeks. And he has aspirations to become a politician, so he's just scoping out the seats. So everyone be on their best behaviour and start asking questions. Now, moving on to, do we have any conflicts of interest on any of the reports in today's meeting? There being none, thank you very much. We'll move on to item 5.1, which is a report titled Water Net Serve Plan Part A, Draft for Public Consultation. I invite Group Manager of Logan Water, Mr. Basterfield, to enter the discussions.
Thank you, Councillor. Through the Chair, under the State Government Water and Distribution Act, we have to prepare a net serve plan which parallels the strategy and for the rollout and support of infrastructure in the city from a water perspective. So it parallels the LGIP discussion that you've just had in the previous committee. I'll take the paper as read, and you'll see that many of the details in the paper refer directly to the LGIP documentation. So, and we've done that purposefully so that there is no there's no discontinuity between the two processes. So, what we seek to do is to we have to go to public consultation to update that plan, and we seek to do that in parallel with the LGIP process that you've just discussed. The only difference in this plan and the last net serve plan in structure is that we've included a connections policy. So that connections policy details our current practices. We thought it worthwhile that it had to be part of this plan, so we thought it worthwhile to write a separate policy. So that's principally what we're here asking for today. I have Lisa Burke, who's here with us. She's discussed the process with State, if you have any detailed questions.
And the other person with you?
Kelly Blanchard is here to discuss, our customer advocacy lead is here to discuss the next item.
Thanks very much. Do any councillors have any questions? There being none, do I have a mover for the motion that goes up on the board? Is it up on the board? Thank you. Councillor Murphy's moved, Councillor Bradley seconded. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Thanks for that report, swift, sharp and brilliant. Item 5.2, amended policy, concealed leak remission. Mr. Basterfield, take it away.
Through the Chair, we have received some good news from State in that the State is now seeking to fund a remission of 70% of the water leaks that we have in the city. We've been asked to match that. We've prepared the paper that you have in front of you. There's a net benefit to Council in adopting this position, in that last time we came to talk about concealed leaks, we had a community service obligation to take us part of the way there. Now we don't need that community service obligation, and the remissions that this leads to for Logan Water are well within our budgeted position. There's also some recovery of debt for people that are in trouble with their water bills at the time that the policy came in. That's about a $30,000 impact to Council, and there's some really strict rules to refund that money as well. So if you have any detailed questions, happy to answer them, but that's essentially the position.
Thanks. I'll open the floor up to questions. We've got Councillor Bradley, followed by Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you. Through the Chair, I did foreshadow with the Chair that I wanted to raise something. Just curious, in Townsville City Council, they actually have smart meters which detect leakages. I'm just curious if you've looked at that.
We have looked at smart meters, through the chair, we have looked at smart meters, councillor, and we have trialled some smart meters in the city.
Yeah.
It's something that we particularly would like to look at if we have properties or businesses that have had leaks in the past. But the cost to roll out smart meters across the city is significant. It's something like $50 million for that program. So.
Okay, and is it possible for any new development that is an option?
Certainly something that we have been looking at, and Kelly's been talking with us about proposals to do that, particularly in the new development areas.
Yeah, I'm just thinking because it also you'd be able to monitor your own water usage as well, and you know, not just your leakages, potential like you'd be notified pretty quickly that you have a leak, but you know, we're going to go through drought very shortly, and yeah, so I think it would be worth looking into.
Yeah, the key thing in rolling those sorts of meters out across the city is the communication that we need to get back from those smart meters, and there's a significant cost associated with that.
My understanding, the actual individual monitors it.
Yeah, yes. We would also use those smart meters to monitor leaks and have a quicker response, because at the moment we can check that when we read meters, and it's in the meter reading process that people are notified, so it can be quicker.
Sorry, I can also see an added advantage. You wouldn't have to have people going around and reading those meters.
Yeah, so the cost of a meter read is about 40 cents. So it's a fairly efficient process, but we have also published detail for customers as to how they can read their standard meter. So just keeping an eye on their standard meter and what those readings are can help them to monitor a leak as well.
Just before we go to Councillor Bradley, Mike, is there a way that residents can actually install their own smart meters or have them installed to save the council money, but also be able to read their own meters as they're going along? And what would the cost be?
Yeah, I'll get back to you about those costs, councillor, but they certainly could be installed. We just have to work out how to communicate with them and which technology we would prefer to use. The trials that we have done pre me being at council have indicated that the cost benefit of that from an organisational point of view don't warrant the cost. But on an individual basis, people could ask. Well, we can come up with a method that they could ask for that.
I just think there's a lot of punters out there that would actually like to have control over what they see and what they can do, and they're prepared to pay for it. Councillor Wilcox?
Thanks. I was just going to go along the same lines. I'm living on acreage and actually having a concealed leak and finding it. It was either on the 27th of December or the 2nd of January. We were lucky we were outside of a public holiday and we could actually hear it inside the house where something blew underneath our water tank. We were like, oh God, all of a sudden our backyard is flooded, and that sort of thing. And I'm on the phone to council going, just double checking what my water is doing. I now understand how to read out the front and that sort of thing. But I would probably be one of those people that would be willing to opt in to a smart reader so that I can, because I now actually get quite stressed going, okay, I'm actually getting a water bill. Why am I getting a water bill? Because I'm only on trickle feed and I really shouldn't be getting a water bill and stuff like that. But it would be something that I would be very keen to look at and that sort of thing. But just one other thing that I did want to say was, when will residents with outstanding debts be contacted in regards to this as well?
Kelly?
Through the chair. So following council's endorsement today, we will be sending a letter to each impacted resident and applying the credit hopefully within days of council's decision today to those accounts and giving them an update on that.
Yep. So endorsement after next Wednesday, after Ordinary Council?
After Ordinary Council, beg your pardon.
Lovely. I think it's fantastic. I have obviously quite a few residents in my area that have been very unfortunate enough to have concealed leaks. Having acreage areas, they're not always very hard to find. You know, it's across huge scales and that sort of thing. I think it'll be definitely a very welcome relief for residents that have unfortunately fallen victim to a concealed leak. And I'd like to thank Council and for State for your advocacy on this and getting it through. So thank you.
Councillor Raven?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is fantastic. For as long as I've been a councillor, we've been bemoaning the fact that it's very expensive to subsidise the state government's SEQ Water's cost because they make up the vast majority of the water bill. So very happy to see that the state government has stepped up and started doing for residents now what we've been doing for a decade or more. From memory, Mike, it's like $5,000 or $6,000 for a smart meter. Is that right? No, more, less?
Through the chair, so ballpark probably about $500 for
bargain.
installation, but yeah, across the city. And I guess also that depends if council had to adopt that as a pulling perfectly good meters out of the ground piece, or whether we go with new developments and when meters are due to be replaced changes that cost, because, you know, a brand new meter installing 500, but if we have to go and pull out of the ground meters, that obviously blows that cost out.
Of course. And that makes it, I recall a few years ago it was discussed for commercial properties, and maybe I'm thinking of the commercial grade ones that are more expensive, but at the time I was like, most concealed leaks aren't going to be $5,000. Probably going to be hard for people to do that. But at $500, I agree with Councillor Wilcox. Peace of mind is priceless, and that's not a huge price to pay for people who are worried about losing $5 or $10,000 worth of water, especially community organisations. And maybe that's the place that we could start offering to roll them out in the first instance, because they have to fundraise to pay their water bills. Thank you.
Thanks very much. If there's no further questions, do I have a mover for the motion that's on the board? Councillor Wilcox, seconded Councillor Bradley. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That's been carried unanimously. Thank you very much for your time today. Does anyone have any general business for the Group Manager of Logan Water? Councillor Bradley.
For the manager, but I would like to ask for a GB item following the conversations that we've had here today, asking for a report in relation to possible smart meters being installed and options.
I'm happy to take that, but I believe Mr Basterfield was actually going to come back to the committee with those figures and the projected timings for your communications. Weren't you doing that, Mr Basterfield, anyway?
Through the chair, yes, can do. I can do it either way. I can write a report.
Yeah, I would like a report.
So Councillor Bradley's moved a motion, and we're just going to type that motion up.
Madam Chair.
Councillor Raven.
Just clarification, Councillor Bradley, you wanted to refer that to budget because it'll have a budget impact.
Oh, it could be either, yes.
Because it'll probably end up there anyway,
Yeah.
that's all, and then we can consider it as
But
part
I
of that.
mean, it would be a report about it,
Yep.
and then you would defer it to budget
Okay.
for consideration. That's my understanding.
Councillor Bradley, is that what you were hoping for?
Possibly, yes, because I can't see it.
Not up yet?
Yep.
Okay, Councillor Bradley's moved a motion on the board. Can everyone read the motion, please? Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Wilcox. All those in favour, please raise your hand.
Can we just make it clear that the group manager of Logan Water?
Oh, yeah, it has to go to someone.
Someone has to.
Yeah. Yeah, it can't be just the committee.
Robert doesn't really. So let's just re-kickstart that.
Yeah.
Be prepared by the Group Manager, Logan Water. Satisfied with that, Mr Director? So we've got Councillor Bradley's moved it. Are you happy to second still, Councillor Wilcox? All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Hall? Yep, carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Is there any other business for Mr Basterfield? Okay, well, that's, I was just asking Mr Basterfield. So thank you very much for your time today. Greatly appreciated, everybody. I have the Manager of Road Infrastructure Planning, but not Road Infrastructure Delivery. I've got it the other way round. Does anyone have any general business for Darryl? Okay, I'm getting there. Does anyone have any general business for the Director? Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, through the chair. Obviously, in the last committee, we were talking about Rochdale Road. I would like to foreshadow, probably not today, because I don't know the outcome of feedback I'm going to receive, but maybe next week to foreshadow a GB item in relation to what is happening with the widening of Rochdale Road, and the communication that staff are having with Brisbane City Council.
Is that dependent on us getting the information from Brisbane City Council prior to council, or will it be deferred then to the next meeting if you don't receive it then?
I believe that that's going to happen. So the conversation I had with the director just prior to commencement of committee was that some information would be given to me.
My aim would be to get you an answer on any discussions we've had with Brisbane officers in regards to Rochdale Road before the council meeting next Wednesday.
Thank you very much. I forgot to press the thing.